by me. And and oh shit. Out.
If you're looking for the pulse of Tampa Bay sports, Beckles and Recher is the #1 source. The new guard, raising up the bar. Intelligent sports talk in your own backyard. Ain't no competition, ask the fans why. Beckles and Recher got it by a landslide. Don't fret, microphone check, stand by. Yo, Fox, where they at? Where my two favorite guys?
Here they go,
Here they go,
here they go,
here they go,
here they go, here they go,
here they go,
here they go,
here they go,
here they go,
here they go,
here they go, here they go.
here they go.
Check. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
45, 45, 30.
He is 5'6", 5'6".
49.
Yep. La who?
Giuseppe La Rocca.
Okay. So we can go anytime? Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Beckles and Recher. The dynamic duo is back together. It's a recognizable sound. We used to be that show on that station back in the day, WDAE. They are still around, and now we've flipped the script and made it into a podcast. Mr. Recher, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing well. Ready to have some fun.
That's what we do.
That's what we do.
There's plenty of things going on. Since we do one show a week, we could talk about, a broad range of different things. One of the stories this week was your boy, Bill Belichick.
My guy.
He's
my guy?
Well, Jay's a huge fan of everything Boston. So
I don't even say the word. I don't even know what the word that is.
Belichick is definitely his guy. Bill Belichick thinks that the Vince Lombardi trophy should be changed to the Tom Brady trophy.
The Brady trophy.
What says you?
I think, what are we doing here?
I don't know.
What are we doing?
I'm not sure.
There's so many other things you could change. You guys in the NFL, you still don't know how to dictate whether a guy got a first down or not.
Right.
Everybody's telling me, like, oh, there's a chip in the ball, but the reason why it doesn't work is because it's not a sphere. Like, that is the stupidest freaking argument I've ever heard in my life. Well, they got it in tennis. The ball squishes and bounces on the ground, and they still have the technology for that. Yeah. We're worried about that instead of worrying about, come on, man. What are we even talking about? Like, it's just crazy to me when you think about it. Like, that's what we're going to do. We're going to get Tom. Are we just going to do everything in the NFL was catered around Tom the entire time he was in the game. Now, after he leaves the game, we're going to cater everything to him. We're going to let him be a broadcaster and an owner. Now we're going to name the Lombardi Trophy after him. Pump the brakes, Billy boy.
You seem biased towards Tom, man. I thought you were a big Tom fan, man. We're Tom fans. He got us the Super Bowl. He got us no, I don't feel like you're coming to the dark side.
I'm appreciative of Tom Brady bringing the Buccaneers to Super Bowl, but is he an all-time Buccaneer? Didn't even mention the Buccaneers in the roast.
Nah, well, wait a minute now. If you talk about all-time Buccaneers, he's on the list. You know he is, Jay. Jay, you know he's on the list, right?
What? He's on the list because he's the best quarterback of all time, not because he's an all-time great Buccaneer.
Well, listen, I think Brad Johnson has to be on the list too, and he brought one Super Bowl.
No, he's not.
Oh, but Brad Johnson's not on the list.
That's exactly the reason why.
Brad Johnson's not on the list.
He's not an all-time great Buccaneer.
Well, how many people are on the list? Is Ian Beckles on the list?
No. Okay. You're not on the list. Paul Gruber's not on the list.
Listen, no, come on. How long is your list?
I'm messing with you.
Now you're going crazy.
Paul Gruber's on the list.
Hell yeah, Paul Gruber.
Ring of Honor members. Is Tom Brady going to be in the Buccaneers Ring of Honor?
Yes. Eventually. Yes. 100%. Jay, Tom Brady changed.
That's
bro, but listen. Before Tom Brady came here, I wasn't a huge Tom Brady fan.
I get it.
Tom Brady changed the dynamics of the organization.
I'm not disputing that. But
he made so much money for the Glazers.
3 years.
He made so much money for the. Tom Brady is still making money for the Glazers.
Is he an all-time Patriots great or Bucks great?
Both.
If you had to pick one.
Both, because the Bucks don't have that many greats. We don't have that many.
You do, but they just come from all that team. The one team, 2002.
Okay.
All-time greats on that team.
But you can't put
Brooks.
Okay.
Barber.
Okay.
Lynch.
Okay. Hall of Famers. They're all Hall of Famers.
Sapp.
They're all Hall of Famers.
Simeon Rice. Not a Hall of Famer.
But Simeon was also a great Cardinal.
But is he an all-time great Buck?
Yeah, but I don't know if I put him ahead of Tom Brady. Okay. I don't know about that.
Would you put Mike Evans over Tom Brady? Where is he at on the list?
Yes.
Where is he at on the list?
I would have to see the list. But
I gave you 4.
But all the people that you've named have been.
The main 4.
They're all Hall of Famers. Okay. Leroy Selman. Let's put Leroy Selman on
Over
there.
Brady? Without a
Yes.
doubt.
Oh, absolutely. Not
Without
close.
a doubt.
Not close.
No.
Leroy Selman, Warren Sapp, Derek Brooks, Mike Evans,
Rondé Barber.
Rondé
John
Barber.
Lynch.
I would put Levante David ahead of Tom Brady.
7.
But there's not that many more. We might.
He's
Paul Gruber, I would put above him. No, you know what? No. Nope. Paul Gruber didn't make a Pro Bowl. He can't do that. You know what I mean? Paul Gruber didn't win a championship.
Would you put Doug Williams over Tom Brady?
No, because he didn't win a championship here, though,
Neither
dude.
did Paul Gruber.
That's what I'm saying. That's why you got to put Tom Brady ahead. Tom
But
Brady
neither
did so
did
much in those 3 years.
But neither
man.
did Leroy Selman.
Yeah, but that's different.
All right, well, it's
Leroy
different.
Selman
We
is
want to
different.
talk about people that changed the game
Yeah.
and changed the organization.
Yeah.
You could argue that there would be no Tom Brady if it wasn't for Doug Williams.
Leroy Selman changed the community.
But Doug Williams made the team a winner. They
Yeah,
were they were Bukaki.
Yeah, I love Doug. I love Doug Williams as people. I really like Doug Williams.
Mike Allstott. He's bigger. He's a bigger Buccaneer than Tom Brady. It's not close, bro. The A Train.
Okay.
So now we're
I'll
getting
give you
close
that.
to 10.
I'll give you that one.
So now we're getting close to number 10.
I'll give you that one. But that one is popularity now.
He's
That's not
Super
a,
Bowl winner.
Yeah, but
Super Bowl
it's
winner.
not a statistic thing.
But
though.
you're talking about a guy
Yeah.
that ran for a ton of yards.
Nah,
it wasn't like
he
Allstott
did-
played.
No, he didn't. He didn't.
How many yards do you think
no,
Allstott ran for?
Okay, what do you think his biggest year was?
Regardless, we're talking.
Nah.
We can't talk about stats.
Yeah.
When we're talking about guys like Leroy. We're talking about a guy like
Yeah.
Paul Gruber.
Well, Mike Allstott got numbers like Reggie Cobb got. So
Yeah,
you
but
know,
Allstott won a Super Bowl.
I understand that, but he's a running back.
3-time first team All Pro.
Once again, let's not listen. I'm a huge Mike Allstott fan, and I watched him come in, and I told him how great he was. But we have to understand, he got those when he was a running back that was masquerading as a fullback. And the second they made him a fullback, he stopped making Pro Bowl.
But that takes nothing away
Yeah,
from
it
his
does.
spot
It
as
does.
a
It does.
running back. He
It
was
does.
a 6-time Pro Bowler.
I understand that.
He
Once
was
again,
a Pro Bowler for twice as
Yes.
long as Tom
Yeah.
Brady's career was in Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
He played 12 years for the Bucs. So we can't look at certain guys and be like, hey, the longevity matters, and then look at Mike Allstott and be like, no, it didn't. Listen, he was a 4-time All-Pro, 3-time first-team All-Pro. So Allstott's on the list too. So you got Brady at the best, is 9th best Buccaneer.
I
of all
would put Allstott ahead of Brady because of his longevity and because of his popularity for sure. But once again, we still don't have 10 people on the list.
He's
That's a
9 and
very
10.
short list.
Oh, of course, but I mean, obviously, you're talking about one of the
But
most.
that's why the
futile
Buccaneers
franchises
haven't
of all
had that many people. When we're starting to talk about Paul Grubers and you have to bring Tony Mayberry's and people like that, a lot of teams, they're not mentioned. Like the Dallas Cowboys, how many, like Paul Gruber wouldn't even be mentioned in the Dallas Cowboys because they've had so many decorated people. The Tampa Bay team,
But he might have won. He
It
might have
hasn't
won
been
there.
a decorated team. That's
No,
the
of
thing,
course not.
at
But
all.
that, to me, is even more of a reason why those teams that you focus on, those guys that have been there for a long time and won, are on that list. So a top 10 for the Yankees or the Cowboys or the Canadians, you'll have a Hall of Famer that's number 35 on the list.
Yeah,
for
but
the Buccaneers-
those are funny organizations.
No, but what I'm saying
yeah.
is that's on the other end of the
Yeah,
spectrum.
I understand.
You're talking about the Buccaneers being
Yeah.
on this end of the spectrum. So then those numbers mean a lot more. So for him to be at number 10
Mhm.
on this list when there's not as many people to choose from, I think makes not the notes what he was doing or
Mhm.
makes it look bad, but I think it makes it look good what those other guys were doing. What Leroy was able to do, what Mike Allstott was able to
Mhm.
do, what guys like Gerald McCoy were able to do, what guys like
Who?
now Gerald McCoy
Brad
over Brady.
Come on, you know that. Gerald will be on the list eventually.
No,
Listen, I'm not. No, listen. Yes, he will.
Oh wait,
Because-
wait,
yes,
Ring
he
of Honor, Ring
will.
of Honor. But
No,
he'll never
even on that list.
he'll never be ahead of Brady though.
Okay, but no,
Right? Yes or no?
100% not. No
Okay.
way.
All right.
But on a Buccaneer list, we're not going to be too much further down before Gerald McCoy's name has to come up. And you know what I think of
Okay.
his play. I thought he
Right.
was overrated. But the Buccaneers are so underrated as a franchise.
Let me put it to you like this: we didn't mention anybody outside of Mike Evans, Levante David for the list, right?
Okay.
Who is on the Buccaneers right now that could jump Tom Brady and knock him out of the top
Tristan
10?
Wirfs.
2 people on the list.
Tristan Wirfs and Vita Vea.
Oh,
Levante David.
we had Levante and Mike
Okay.
Evans.
Tristan Wirfs is definitely one.
Who's the other?
That could overthrow Tom.
Just to like knock him out of the top
Well,
10.
Baker Mayfield. If Baker Mayfield gets a Super Bowl, he'll go way ahead of Tom Brady because of the longevity part of
Okay, all right.
That's
But
a
I'm talking
possibility.
about a guy like Tristan's definitely on.
it. 100%.
I think Antoine Winfield Jr. is on there. All pro. One-
Yeah, but just move. Like, my thing is, it hasn't been enough. You know what I mean? It's been so short-lived and we have no idea because this year wasn't it.
No, but
This year wasn't it.
His ceiling and his IQ.
I don't
if
like
you had
him
a
on
bet
that
on
list.
a guy if he stayed healthy,
I don't like him on that. Nah, that's what you can't do with football. I don't like
Winfield Jr.
Nah, I wouldn't bet on him right now.
Oh man,
You see very few athletes in general get hurt, don't play, then come back and just have a. It happens every once in a while.
Like Tom Brady.
Well, Tom Brady had one
Chris
injury.
Godwin?
Those are one big injury, and then they came back and they were cool. Antoine Winfield Jr. misses all the time for different things. I get it.
He's an all-pro.
So was Bob Sanders,
but he was the best safety. But you as well as I know that Antoine Winfield Jr. is bigger than Bob Sanders. He was one of the shortest players.
He gets hurt a lot though.
But how did Bob Sanders get hurt compared to Antoine Winfield Jr.?
Because he was a missile.
Yeah, but Antoine Winfield Jr. doesn't play like that. So you think his career would be long? He's not running around head first. Bob Sanders would have got flagged.
Yeah, but Jay, what do I say?
Bob Sanders would have got flagged 5 times.
No, Bob Sanders is not playing today.
He couldn't even have played.
No. But what do I say is the hardest thing to do in the NFL? Stay healthy. That's it. I'm telling you. Once you start missing games, it's hard. It's hard. You don't become more healthy because once you miss a game for your ankle, once Tristan Wirfs missed one game for his ankle, he's never been the same. He never missed, and he went down on the field, and he's not been the same. He lays on the field a lot now because that ankle's never the same. Then he's going to get a knee injury, and then you have to deal with the knee injury, but the ankle injury doesn't go away. So as you get older, they start to stockpile, and Antoine Winfield Jr. was often injured early, and that's not a great sign. Listen, I wish the best for the kid. The kid has every tool in the world to be one of the best in the league, but ain't healthy is a son of a bitch, man. Really is.
A guy like Mike Evans looks like every game hobbling, finds a way to stay in the game. No, but he lost. But that's what I'm saying. He lost 3-4 games this year and was able to get 1,000 yards. So
Yeah,
I think
once again, we're all talking about a Hall of Famer again. You know what I mean?
But
Hall of Famers are different.
You look at guys, all right, but if you want a guy
right now, if you had to bet, let's be real now.
Okay,
if you had to bet your house whether Antoine Winfield Jr. becomes a Hall of Famer, would you bet yes or no?
Okay, that's a good point.
It's really serious. Mm-hmm. There's no way you bet yes because the odds are great.
But Tristan Wirfs, you would say
100% Tristan Wirfs.
But if you're a guy like Antoine Winfield Jr., got one Pro Bowl, one All-Pro, Super Bowl champion, okay, he's got the baseline of
100%.
If he's got a couple more years in,
he's got to probably do 3 more good, solid. That's hard.
Who else has that though?
But nobody. But it's just hard. That's why the Hall of Fame is going to be. I think the criteria is gonna go down in a few years because we just don't have that many people doing a lot anymore. Nobody plays a lot anymore.
And the in season and career wise, people only play a couple years.
That's what I mean. Like the running backs back in the day, you used to have one running back. Now you have 3 running backs. You have 4 or 5 receivers. Guys used to not come off the field. Now people are celebrating 1,000 yards rushing in 17 games. I haven't done the math, but what was that, 55 yards a game? That's not a lot of yards. It's not that great. So football has changed. It started off, I think they had 14 games, and 1,000 yards is a big deal. Jim Brown was still getting it, but now 17 games, 1,000 yards to me is not overly impressive.
Keeping the flow going with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I want to ask you this question. I kind of brought it up on my podcast yesterday. Chris Godwin, actually today. Chris Godwin, obviously unsigned for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We know that Liam Cohen, no longer the OC of the Buccaneers, completed another interview today. That's 5 guys that they've interviewed. Chris is coming off of an injury, going to warrant right around $20 million. But I wonder, is there any hesitation from you that Chris Godwin will not be the same guy as he was this year? And the reason why I say that, and I'm not even primarily talking about health, I'm talking about game planning. Because you look at 2 years ago with Dave Canales, Godwin was not Chris Godwin. And his wife came out and was, talking smack and all this thing, and then they force-fed him the ball the next game, and it just wasn't easy. He was fantastic this year. So you have hesitation because it's a second season-ending injury. But also, is there any hesitation that the new offensive coordinator that you're going to bring in is going to be more like Dave Canales than Liam Cohen and not be able to get him the ball? Because, Ian, if you're going to spend the money on this guy that's getting closer to 30, that is going to be a second receiver to Mike Evans, you gotta make sure that your OC knows how to use this guy out of the slot because he had 50 catches, 500 yards, and 5 touchdowns before he got banged up. So there's got to be a little bit of hesitation, right? Because that's a big investment that given to a wide receiver.
First of all, I love the way Chris Godwin plays. Okay, I like him on and off the field. I don't know him off the field, but from what I hear, I like him off. Whoever gets him, inspire beware. You have to understand that. Okay, because what you can't do is you can't really evaluate a player in the offseason. You can have him run routes and stuff, but it's not the same. Okay, foot was on backwards or was almost off. Okay, because I watched the reaction of his teammates when they looked at it, and when you see teammates fall into their knees and have put their heads in their hands, it takes a long time to come back from that. Okay, so it's buyer beware for whoever brings him in. Remember the name Darrell Revis? Darrell Revis came in here after a knee surgery and played like crap. Year after that, he played well.
Yeah.
So sometimes when you have ACLs, when you have you know, Achilles, when you have dislocations, you could come back and you look great in the off season. You're doing all these drills, but when you come down to the physical part of it, it takes a while to get your body back acclimated. And like you said, Chris is not young anymore. Chris has had other injuries, so if you're asking me, I know they have to eat a bunch of his cap hit, but right now, if you have some decisions to make, I don't know if you can make that decision right now because out of all the positions in the world, it's not left tackle. Out of all the positions out there, wide receiver is probably the easiest position to take care of in the draft. Okay, if you talk about a right tackle or a left tackle or a pass rush and end, well, that's hard to find because as rookies, how many great tackles are there as rookies? Even other than Tristan Wirfs, most people struggle. So this Buccaneer team is going to think we're contending for a Super Bowl, and you can't have a rookie left tackle and rookie rushers, and this doesn't look good. So to me, I think you have to start talking about life after Chris Godwin. If it's going to cost you $20 million, I think you go out and draft a couple and maybe bring in somebody a little bit younger because 30 is not young in the NFL anymore. That's a lot. It's a lot of money to pay for somebody that you hope is gonna be healthy.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said about a no, right? Because
Sure.
you
Sure.
can think of like all these wide receivers are good, and you look at Malik Neighbors and a lot of these guys that come in their rookie year. We've seen it. It doesn't take long for these guys to be able to acclimate themselves to Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase's. Like they're the best players in the league at their position within 5 years. Hell, within 2 or 3 years. But I think there's something to be said about the tone that he sets when he's out there, how he's able to block, he's able to when he's in the slot, maybe be the best slot guy in the game. But you're right, even when he tore his ACL the last time he had a season-ending injury, he wasn't 100%. He clearly wasn't the same guy that first year after that. It took him a little while to go. I think when you have a team like this with Jalen McMillan, I think you can kind of ease him back into it next. It's the going rate of a quarterback of his caliber or running wide receiver of his caliber. He's not making $38 million a year. That's the high end. So 20, when you think about it, Ian, like that's not 3 years ago. If you say I got two $20 million wide receivers, you're screwed when it comes to the cap. And now when you got Justin Jefferson, these guys almost making $40 million. You're like, you're telling me he's half as good of a receiver as Justin Jefferson? I wouldn't say that, but there is that buyer beware of what guy are you going to get this season. I'm okay with the Buccaneers going, hey, $19 million. They able to spread that money out. The dead cap on his, I think, is $1 million. So if he's not here, you're still paying him 18. So if you're going to pay him 18, pay him 2 more and keep him here. I just think it makes that much sense. The Buccaneers have to make sure that whoever they bring in, that offensive coordinator knows that his great play comes in the spot because he was a force. And think about it, they probably beat Washington if the game plan's different. He's so good closer to the line of scrimmage. All those short yardage plays where maybe Liam had to get maybe too much of the trickeration. You get Chris Godwin on some of those slants, maybe some of those bubble screens. They hand the ball off. That ball that he messes up the handoff to Jalen McMillan, maybe that play goes off without a hitch if it's Chris Godwin doing that instead.
I'll do one better. I don't think they're in that game if they had Chris Godwin. I think they have a better seed.
Yeah. Well,
if they'd have played all year with Chris,
maybe.
They'd have won a couple more games. And Chris Godwin, when Chris Godwin got hurt, Chris Godwin was one of the best receivers in the league at that time. And his numbers were unbelievable. And they were talking about big cheese. And then next to know he's on the field and everybody's crying and so on. If they had Chris Godwin all year long, listen, we didn't have Chris Godwin, and Mike Evans did what he did, and Bill did with Chris Godwin in there, boy, everything's better. Running game's better, and I think Baker Mayfield's better as well.
For sure. And I'm looking forward to the draft this year and see what they do. They do draft a wide receiver. It's probably going to be late because they got hella holes on the defensive side of the ball. They got to get a linebacker. They got to get pass rushers. Got to get a lot of guys on offense because, as you know as well as anybody, it's that next man up mentality. Offensively, they were able to do that. Rashad didn't do the job to everybody's liking. Here comes Bucky. Rashad couldn't play that game against the Saints. We were here. Sean Tucker. Remember that game? Sean Tucker was balling. NFC Offensive Player of the Week. He's our third. Those guys stepped up on the offensive side of the ball. They need guys on the defensive side to do that as well. We'll keep it in Tampa. Let's talk a little stadium because I know how much you hate talking about the stadium.
I love talking stadium.
You hate it. But the thing is that you understand that there's certain times to talk about it. When there's new news that comes out about it. And Colleen Wright from the Tampa Bay Times had an opportunity to speak to Stu Sternberg a couple days ago. And Ian, we're waiting still for the Rays to let everybody know, let's go forward with this. And they have a drop dead date of March 31st to let them know that they got $700 million for this and we're ready to go. You smirk because of why? You're not buying it.
Well,
I have trouble buying it.
Well, this is my thing, okay? And you can disagree if you want. How long have we been talking about Steve and the situation? 10, 15 years, something like 15?
Yeah.
Well, a long time, right? You know, we drop dead dates and deadlines and you know how many big news? Now, let me ask you this. What has happened between all the time we've talked about the stadium? What has transpired? Let me know.
Well, we know that it's not going to be on the Tampa side. It's going to be on the St. Pete side, right?
That's
We've
really,
also had agreements, but I mean, the thing is, I understand what you're saying,
you
right?
see what I'm
Because
saying?
at the end of the day, we haven't gotten shovels in the ground. That's the number one
it's
thing.
Not even close. Right? It's not even close.
But we are. It's the closest it's been. That's why. It's the closest it's been.
We hope.
Yeah, of course we hope. But this is the closest it's been. Like, that's a fact. That's not an opinion. I mean, you haven't had to the point where that the county and the city are both like, all right, we're on the hook for this. We're going to use the bed tax for this. Like, you haven't gotten to this point where both the St. Pete City Council and the Pinellas County Commissioners have said, all right, we're going to do our part. We're going to do our part. The ball's in your court, Stu Sternberg. Now he's humming and hawing, and he needs to let them know by March 31st. They need to have documentation of, yeah, you're going to foot your $700,000, and he's dragging his feet, and he's like non-committal. It's just, I don't know how Rays fans out there can be 100% confident that Stu wants to keep the team here and the Rays want to get this thing.
It's the closest we've ever been if we ever start digging for a stadium. Okay?
Yeah.
Or else it's all smoke. It just all seems like smoke to me. Because at the end of it, if Stu Sternberg sells this thing, we're going to go, what were we talking about the whole time other than him just making a lot of money and not putting a lot of money into the team? Seriously, I mean, that's what happens. We keep on hearing why we can't have this payroll and this and that and the other. They never tell us how much they make. They make umpteen millions and millions of dollars, but every time something happens, they got to cut this and cut that. I mean, it's to a point now where Rays fans, I don't know why they believe in anything, okay? Because I talked to the brass, looked them right in their face and asked them questions. I'm going to say right now, they lied to me. If I say, is this financially possible in just Tampa or St. Pete? They said, no way. Remember they were going to go to Montreal? They said to me, there's no way it's financially possible. Then Montreal falls through. Now they're trying to do it in St. Pete or Tampa. Come on, man. It's to a point now where I'm like, you guys are just talking a lot. At the end of this, I don't know who's fighting for this anymore. I'm almost positive the Rays are not fighting. There's times where it seems like they're fighting against being here. I hope I don't think I'm the only one feeling that way, but I don't feel the love from them. I don't feel the love for anything. I don't feel the energy. So, listen, I would hate to lose my baseball team. I think having a baseball team legitimizes the area. But we're to blame too, us fans. We're to blame too, because we have a lot of reasons why we don't go.
Yeah, but I mean, I see it. I see that, but I also look at it too. Are you going to go to a restaurant if Food's not good. Are you going to go to the restaurant if your service sucks? Right? Are
But
you
they've
going to
been
go to the
okay. But
restaurant?
they've been all right though. We still haven't really
Okay,
gone.
you go to Fleming's because the steak is all right.
No, it's fantastic.
That's
Steak
what I'm
is really
saying.
good.
You have to go above and beyond. This is a attention and an entertainment, and there's so many different things to do here. What makes it so you have to go to the Rays game in person?
Nothing.
There's nothing.
Nothing.
There's nothing. And even the product, listen, the product's good. Okay, for the most part, they've been successful.
Yeah, they have.
But when you look at everything, I mean, look at they just signed Ha-Sung Kim, an infielder that was with the Padres, a Korean infielder that has played 4 years for San Diego, a career 242 average. They're paying him 2 years, $29 million with an opt out after the first year. He's got a shoulder injury. He's going to be ready in May. This guy won a Gold Glove a couple of years ago, but he can barely hit his weight. And his offense ain't going to get better coming to Tampa Bay. And yet you still see people like, I love this move. Really? Again, another defensive guy that can't hit. He's not going to bring any pop whatsoever. And it's just like, you look at the Dodgers, and they're bringing in all these guys. You're looking at other teams bringing in free agents and making trades, and the Rays are shopping at the thrift store. It's bargain basement bullshit, and we're all like accustomed to it. Like, oh well, this has to be that way if the Rays are going to be competitive. That's fine if that's your explanation, but if you are a person that has a choice to do this or this or this or this, I'm not going to watch a product, and I'm not going to go, let's say, I'm not going to go to a restaurant just because you can't afford a grade D piece of meat and you make a great meal out of it. It doesn't mean that I have to go there and eat, because I would rather spend my time and my money and my energy over here with people that are going to give me grade A meat. So just because that's the best that you can do doesn't mean that I have to be okay with it. And I think they've been operating at a loss from really understanding. Forget about baseball fans, human beings. You need to. How many people do you and I know that just go to Lightning? Can they tell you the difference between a blue chip prospect and a blue line? They don't know that shit. But you know what they do know? They know that when they go to Amalie Arena, they walk out of there, win or lose, they have a good time. You can't tell me that the people that are residents of the Tampa Bay area feel the same thing about the Rays.
Well, if I ask you, who has a commitment to excellence, the Rays or the Lightning? What's your answer?
It's not even close.
It's not close. In any aspect, it ain't close. We can talk about leadership. We could talk about stadium. We could talk about players. We could talk about transactions. We could talk about front office. All of it, okay? We have the Lightning, who at times don't even look like they care about money. They just care about products, because it's been fantastic forever. And you have the Rays, who just use the utmost effort to just be good. Okay, if you build a house and you use $100,000 of equipment and stuff, or 500,000, like the Dodgers are they're dealing with a different equation.
Yeah.
Like they ain't signing nobody that's batting 240. That's not happening. Everybody's batting 310, or they batted 310, or they hit 40 home runs. I mean, everybody. There's a few teams like that now. The Rays aren't going to win a championship, because at the end of it, the other team has Kevin Cash done an unbelievable job with what he has. But as Rays fan, it's going to come to a point where he's going to say, man, this is the same thing. It's almost like being a Dallas Cowboy fan. After a while, you're like, this equation doesn't work. And we keep on using the same equation. Because I want the Rays to win, but there's nothing that makes me think that they're going to compete with any of the big dogs this year. So, listen, the stadium, I don't want to lose my team, but I'm not sure they ever really cared about it staying here. I think they're just trying to make it as they go.
You mentioned that too, of like the Rays have done such a great job of building their team with limited resources and investing into the international free agent market, investing in the minor leagues, and focusing. But what happens when the other teams start doing that and they have resources? Oh yeah,
Right.
you know what you
right.
get? You get the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Andrew Freeman runs the team. He runs the team like the Rays. You know why they can sell people? And think about all the people, right? You lose Corey Seager, you lose Justin Turner, you lose Cody Bellinger, you lose Jock Peterson, you lose Max Scherzer, you lose Manny Machado, you lose all of these different players over the years that would cripple a franchise. You know what they do? They call more people up, they sign more people, they know what it takes. So now the Rays aren't operating on a different level than everybody else. They're just operating with a smaller budget, and people don't care. Like that's the thing is, if you have to be the smartest guy or the smartest baseball fan to be a Rays fan, you're losing the points. You're missing it. You have to get casual people, not casual baseball fans. You have to get casual people to want to go support the Rays. I remember growing up in New York, there were girls that would take the train into the city just to go to the Yankee game on a Friday night because it was something different to do. Didn't want to go to the bar, didn't want to go to a party. Hey, girls' night, let's go to Yankee Stadium. Let's take the train in the city. Let's take the train in the Bronx. Let's have a good time. You don't hear people do that. And they weren't baseball fans. It was just another thing to do. The Rays games are not a thing to do. It's not an event. It's you're gonna go if you're a baseball fan or you got tickets maybe for free, but it's not the priority every single year is not to I gotta go to a Rays game. And that's sad.
The Buccaneers team at times have been events. Now it's kind of in the middle. Okay, it's okay, but it's not like the Tom Brady years or the early 2000 years. The Lightning is an event. Here, it just is. Okay, if somebody says I got Lightning tickets, they get gobbled up. I've never heard somebody say I have Rays tickets. I've never heard it. And if you bring somebody to a Rays game, which I've never done, I never hear somebody go, man, I have to do that again. Never, not one time. You don't have to say nothing. You bring somebody to a Lightning game, they don't have to. They probably never seen a game of hockey, and there's gonna be something in that building that's gonna make them want to come back. I've been watching hockey since forever. Before I even would watch football, I was watching hockey, so I get it. Okay, I understand the game. It doesn't. If you haven't been to a Lightning game, you don't know what I'm saying. It's a different thing. Like to me, playoff hockey in person is the best thing you can do.
Oh, yeah.
There's nothing better than playoff hockey in person. So a lot of it's the product, but I'm telling you, I was there before Vinnick. Okay, Jeffrey Vinnick. That's Jeffrey Vinnick's energy, and Stu Sternberg.
Well, what is that? What is that? It's investment.
And it's love. It's love.
It's
too.
love and investment.
It's love
but
your
when
community.
I say investment, it's not investment
Yeah.
just for financially
Yeah.
investment. It's caring.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
I can't tell you, there's not many people in the Bay Area that can actually tell you that they've interviewed both Jeffrey Vinnick
Yeah.
and Stu Sternberg. I'm one of those people.
I'm another
Okay?
one. Yeah.
When you interview Stu Sternberg, it's very, kind of nice guy. It's not
Nice.
like he's a
Yeah.
bad guy.
No, he's not.
He's a nice guy, right?
Yeah. Very
But
businesslike.
very businesslike,
Yeah.
very like you're here, I'm here.
Yeah.
Again, Jeffrey Vinnick, on the other hand, is a guy like I'm gonna go walk around and shake people's hands, right?
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
Jeffrey Vinnick came here
Yeah.
and he ripped out all the seats at Emily Arena and put cushions in every single one of those, you don't think that kind of thing resonates with
Yeah,
people?
of course.
Hey, I got this amount of money to spend, $200. I want to spend on a Lightning game or a Rays game. It's not even close.
No.
It's not even a conversation, right? When Stu Sternberg comes out and says, I'm going to take a loss on my P&L statement, you can't be more tone deaf. When
Right.
people are struggling to put food on the table and keep a roof over their heads, and now, like, you look at people dealing with the hurricane stuff, like, the last thing you want to hear is a guy that's worth almost $1 billion, if not more than $1 billion, bitching and moaning about the amount of money that he has from his baseball team. You didn't make your money being a baseball owner. This is I don't want to say a hobby, but this is this is not how you made your money, right?
Mhm.
Like, it doesn't matter what happens on the field. And I think it's just like you have to be real with the situation. If the Rays still don't draw attendance and the people are still indifferent and apathetic about the Rays when they've been successful, you have to look deeper. And if you're just looking on the surface area and you think, well, they're good, that means people should show up. Like, you're not being real with yourself. Ian, you have so much time in your life to spend. You want to be entertained. It's the reason why you play music. It's the reason why you play video games. It's the reason why I play softball, right? There's certain things. Your time is short. You want to make sure that you're spending it in the manner that you want to spend it with the amount of money that you're willing to spend, and you feel comfortable doing so. And if you are going to be around a team like the Tampa Bay Rays and the product doesn't matter, you have to look at everything surrounding it. I've always said it's not the quality of issues with it, it's the quantity of issues. That's the reason why people, regardless of whether you don't want to drive, the payroll, all these different things, I'm going to end with this.
Yep.
Think about how many baseball people we know in the Tampa.
Baseball, like former
People.
players.
Former
People?
players, high school people. Why isn't why aren't those baseball lifers lockstep with the Tampa Bay Rays? How come they don't have like how come Joe Urso isn't there every free, right? How come all these former major leaguers? I had a guy that grew up with Tino Martinez tell me, Jay, I don't even go to games. I barely go to games. And if I would have told those guys, I had our guy, Ken the Hitman Hagen, on. I said, Ken, if you were a kid that grew up and played at Chamberlain and played at HCC like he did, and I told you that we'd have a Major League Baseball team and you wouldn't be there every day, what would you say? You're like, you're crazy.
Yeah.
It would be popping. There's no way that you would tell guys that grew up here, the Tinos, the Fred McGriffs, and all these guys, there's no way if you went back to the 70s and 80s when those guys played in high school and told them that a Major League Baseball team would be here in the Bay Area and it would struggle with attendance, they would tell you you were freaking crazy.
A lot of Rays fans, I think, are delusional in a lot of ways because I've been talking about this for a long time, and I love, well, the bridge. My thing is, okay, you keep on saying it's the bridge, people. If you're passionate about something, you're gonna go watch it. Doesn't matter how far away it is.
There's no that could be an issue. When people are like bitching and moaning,
but it's not. That's not it though. Because
it could be part of it.
But the same people that say that, same exact people, are heading the other way to go watch their college team.
But that's fine.
But that's what I'm saying, though.
But it doesn't mean that's not the reason.
It's not the bridge, though.
No, but here's the thing. It is the reason.
Every city has a bridge. And every city, people traverse over the bridge.
Right. I'm not saying that you're wrong, right? But that's the inherent point out of this entire thing is that if you are willing to have those kind of impediments not allow you to go to these games, don't care enough about the team.
I think we're saying the same thing.
Yeah, we are.
We're saying the same thing. Yeah.
Those people aren't wrong. But that should tell you that the product isn't good enough.
Yeah.
You live in Tampa Bay for one reason and one reason only. And that word is convenience.
That's true.
It's convenience.
That is true.
I have not lived with any member of my family for 2 decades. Why? I love it here. It's convenient. The weather is nice. The people are nice. I love the organizations that I work with. I love being on the baseball field. It's convenience. I like my life this way. If you don't think that the Rays rank high enough on your priority list to drive over a bridge, it's not their fault for feeling that way. It's your fault for not making the product good enough, whether it's on the field or off the field, that people are willing to drive over the bridge. People are willing to sit in traffic. I don't have any empathy for the Rays because I just don't think that they've done enough to make it so that you have to go over.
And I think if they move to Tampa, I think for 2 years it'd be a hot thing. That
maybe
if it's the same ownership,
maybe
if they run it the same way, something's got to change seriously because there's not that much. Like I said, there's no energy behind it. Like nobody's talking, about a water cooler about the Rays. Where are the Rays getting new fans from? And you know where the Lightning are getting new fans. You know where they're getting new fans. Okay, they're going and they're talking to young kids, and there's kids playing street hockey. We see that. Baseball's already in the root of Tampa Bay and in the veins of Tampa Bay.
There's another example of why people complain about, like, all right, well, people don't go to games. Another reason why they don't go to games is they're on the field playing. I was there. There's tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of kids every single weekend on a baseball field. So there is already a love for the sport, and you still can't get people to go to your game. That should be just a wake-up call to the Rays, but I think it all goes back to the start of our conversation.
I think they've proven that they don't care.
If you had a restaurant in the middle of a town filled with foodies, you couldn't sell out. Shouldn't you look in the mirror and realize, maybe I changed my menu. Maybe I changed my decor. Maybe I changed my maitre d'. Maybe I changed my chefs. Maybe I do this. Maybe I do that. You wouldn't just sit there and be like, my food's good. My restaurant's great.
What has Stu Sternberg ever done to make you think he really cares? Seriously. I mean, what has he done since the stadium looks exactly the same? The food is below par. They've thrown a couple of tchotchkes and bones here. You could park or whatever, but It's just not an event. Like you said, it's not an event. It's not. And the love ain't
Hans?
there. Hmm. My answer is no. I think at the end of, I mean, he might put a couple more seats asses in the seats, but how many? I mean, they're at the bottom still. They're still at the bottom of attendance. Juan Soto's not going to make this team contend for anything. It's hard, brother. They've tried it. They've tried in the past, and bring a guy in here and a guy in there. At the end of it, from top to bottom, they're just not. They can't contend with these teams.
I'm just happy that he's.
Yeah, fannies is a good word. I like fannies.
I think that could be a start, right? I think that could be a start of getting people going. They're committed. What I, yeah, it's about investment, right? Invest in me, invest in my likes, invest in my wants, invest in my needs, right? What I don't like is there's bullshit that gets fed from the Rays. So we made an offer to this guy. We made an offer to this guy.
They always make an offer.
Make an offer.
They always
Okay.
do.
If Juan Soto's making $700 million, you're like, we made an offer worth $400 million.
Right.
Nobody's calling their bluff because he's not going to make that much money. We made an offer to Aaron Judge. Okay. We made an offer to Freddie Freeman. Okay. I don't want to hear these. That's like those people that say, my favorite, I'm sorry. And they say, I'm sorry. Yeah. I don't want to hear that shit. It's not about your words. It's about your intent. Yeah. So, yes, if they signed a Juan Soto, Tom, I think that would be a step in the right direction. But you can't possibly tell me that the entire Rays organization is fully committed to winning. There's always a condition. That's the problem, is that you don't want to be in a relationship with somebody that goes, I'm going to spend time with you, but I'm going to love you, but we can do this, but, right? Nobody likes that. Nobody likes conditional conditions when it comes to your investment, whether it's love, whether it's your job, whether it's any type of relationship. You don't want conditions. You want it to be open. There's nothing that you and I can't say or talk about on this show or as friends. But if you were like, man, you know what? I really don't like the way you act when we watch football together.
For real.
I don't know, like that would affect our friendship, right? Like there's conditions when it comes to being the Rays. And if you sign one player, good. But it's got to be a pattern. And when you sit there and you complain about how much money you spend, when you spend some of the least in the league, and then you have signings like today, where it's $2 million, 2 years for $29 million for a guy that can barely hit his weight, and now we have people saying this is a good move. Like you're lying to yourself, and you've been fed this line over and over and over again about what is acceptable as a franchise. You don't put up with it as a Lightning fan. You don't put up with it as a Bucks fan. But we're almost like we have a scarlet letter as a Rays fan. We're just like, the way it goes. Like, it's ridiculous to me.
Well, to me, if they sign Juan Soto, okay, let's say tomorrow they sign Juan Soto. If I go around and I ask Rays fans, the majority of them will know who Juan Soto is. Who outside of that is he going to get? You know what I'm saying? I mean, the Rays fans know Juan Soto, okay? And if Juan Soto comes, you'll have a couple of fringe fans. And if the Rays don't win, they'll be gone. Okay, that's the way sports is.
Who is the most popular? Who is the most popular player in Rays history?
Evan Longoria.
Okay, I'll give you that one.
David Price.
One guy that was on the team last. On the team.
Franco. Franco. Rosarena, yeah.
I think you could argue that Evan Longoria is the best player in Rays history, but Randy Rosarena was the popular.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
They made Randy land in left field, where you went out there, and if he hit a home run, you got a free drink. The entire section was Randy Land. When he got traded, he went to the game the next day because of the fans. And they traded him for what? They didn't get immediately better. They didn't get better in the long term. He wasn't the guy that you were going to have to spend $50 million. This is a guy that wanted to stay. So, okay, you're not even going to go out and buy players like some of these, and you're not going to retain players. So, again, it's not a quality of this reasons, quantity. You don't want to drive over the bridge. You don't like Stu Sternberg. You don't like that they don't spend money. You don't like that they get rid of players. Like, you just keep going down the list.
Yeah.
And you know the thing is, you look at the other teams here, all right, outside of the Stamkos thing, and you went out and got Gensel. You signed all these guys after the Stanley Cup. Oh, wow. The Buccaneers brought all 22 starters back from the Super Bowl. They kept Mike Evans. They got him the 1,000 yards. They brought back Shaq Barrett. They brought back Chris Godwin. I got $200 to spend. I'm not spending it. Doesn't seem.
And there's a time where the Rays were in a different place. You know what I mean? If you go back 5 years ago, like, I think we believed that the Rays were going to contend every year because they were contending every year. Gone. It's gone, and I don't know if they're going to get it
But
back.
even that, Ian,
You know?
even that, when they were contending, still,
They were
in
just
the
going to
middle of the
contend.
year,
They were just
they're
going to
like,
contend.
You the people didn't take it for
No.
granted. More than that, again, it's not the diehard baseball fans, it's the casual fans that need to go. When a place like Tampa, where there's on a Wednesday night in August, then watch the Rays.
Casual baseball fans are not going to go to the Trop. Seriously. I mean, they will go to Yankee Stadium or Dodger Stadium or Wrigley Field because they could tell they went to Wrigley Field. Nobody went. I went to nobody.
Yeah, probably.
They're going to break a tennis
'Cause it's
record? They can't. They can't.
Well, it's a niche thing, right? It's a niche thing. Again, it's an event, so it's 1 year, and people are going to want to say that they went that 1 year. You only have to worry about doing it 80 times, so it's almost like a concert, a 1 year concert. They're going to go there. Everybody's going to want to say they go, and you're going to be able to tell the convenience on the Tampa. So
I think if they sell out every game, I don't think they break a tennis record. They've had a higher than.
maybe.
I don't think it's possible. What's the capacity? 13,000.
Yeah.
So they averaged about 12,000 last year. So it's going to be hard for them to beat that.
11,
I would go to a game
11,026.
around. It's
Yeah.
about right about there. Yeah. There's not a whole lot of people. I don't know a lot of people that went to any games last year. You know, I usually go to one game or two games, but I ain't got in the last couple of years.
Last year, their average attendance was 16,500.
See?
So yeah, they'll beat that.
So then they can't come
But
close.
still, when you're talking about capacity, that's the thing.
Well,
Talk
they're
so
going
much
to be
about
they're going to be
average.
capacity if they're averaging 16. They're
But
going to sell out
to
every
me,
game.
that's the most important thing about capacity. You know, if you're going to fill 98% of Steinbrenner Field, that building is going to be rocking.
Yeah,
Listen, it's going to be a fun time.
So, no, I agree with what you're saying,
time,
but
it's
capacity is important to you. It's not important to Sternberg. That's 5,000 less
No, they're
tickets.
definitely going to lose
Yeah,
money.
they are.
But when we're talking about the ambiance and the atmosphere, I mean, you could be in a 40,000 park. That's great. But if it's only filled 39%, that don't mean anything. But if you're in an 11,000 and there's 98% capacity, everybody's right on top of each other. Everybody's nut to butts, side to side, going crazy. I mean, I think it could have a good experience next.
I have no doubt the atmosphere is good.
100%.
The atmosphere.
Let's finish talking about Bronny James. We went back and forth on this before the show. Whew. So we didn't talk about this, I think, last week, right? With
No.
LeBron James
No.
and his son. Really cool on opening night to see him play. Ken Griffey Jr., Ken Griffey Sr. in attendance. He's doing a decent job with the G League, averaging over 20 points. But my goodness, last night was probably the lowest of his NBA career. 15 minutes, he was 0 for 5 from the field. JJ Redick said, I put him in a tough spot. Like, that's not really a good thing you want to say when you got a kid that's playing 15 minutes off the bench, 0 for 5. You look at what his stats are. He has 4 points the entire year, playing 40-plus minutes. And you got Stephen A. Smith this morning and a lot of other people around the country going, we got to stop this. We got to stop this because, you know, LeBron's not making it any easier on his son. He's kind of embarrassing himself out there. You know, you have a very unique perspective when it comes to sports and things like this. And I know you always fall back to what's it hurting?
Yeah.
Who is hurting in this situation? And I know some people look at it like other guys aren't getting opportunities. There aren't hordes of people. One person.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I necessarily agree like he's disintegrating the sports, but this is nepotism. I mean, to the highest degree. But how many LeBron James have ever walked this earth? You know, like, it's not a what you know life that we live in, it's a who you know life. So I'm very curious to hear your perspective on this whole thing with LeBron and his son, JJ Redick as the coach, and Ronnie performing as poorly as he has so far. Clearly not ready.
Well, I'm a fan of LeBron James more so than a lot of people. A lot of people I hear bashing him. He's not that good. Well, he might not be Jordan, but he's pretty damn good. All right. The nepotism thing happens everywhere all the time. That's factual. Um, Bronny's not ready for the NBA. That's pretty evident. Um, LeBron James wanted to play with his son. He did it. It's not even close to the Griffeys. You know, the Griffeys both deserved and they were great. You know what I'm saying? Bronny James being brought up is being brought up just for his name. Now, you say, I say, who gets hurt? We tell you who gets hurt. When Bronny James walks in that locker room and everybody's rolling their eyes, because that happens, okay? Those other guys on the team want to win. They don't give a rat's ass whose father that is. So Bronny James walks in the locker room, you're like, well, here comes, his son again, and he's gonna have to get some time. That's not the best thing for the team. People start looking and they start looking funny. Okay, so that can affect the locker room, no doubt about that. The Lakers used to be one of the most prideful basketball organizations. They're becoming a mockery a little bit, and I think LeBron James is doing that. I like LeBron James as a player. As a person, I'm falling off a little bit. There's been a lot of stuff lately, and the Diddy stuff doesn't help me. And he just
Doesn't it? No, but I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
But I look at it like this too, and you know it as well as I do.
Mhm.
There in basketball, you're not playing all your guys. There's a couple of guys at the end of your bench. Every
Mhm.
team has 3 or 4 guys at the end that play very sparingly, right? So if he was that guy, and he has been that guy, that's where the majority of his minutes have come. I don't know whose spot is he taking that's just going to warm the bench.
Well, there's
But
not
if
a,
he's
there's,
playing
there's not
with-
a lot of people that don't play at all. Everybody has a role.
No, but you look at
You might not play a lot, but everybody has a role. He doesn't really have a role. His role is the superstar's son. He doesn't really have a role. He
No,
doesn't
but
score no
even
points.
if you look at games last night, right? Even if you look at that game, okay, there are DNPs like that don't play,
Okay.
right? There are guys that don't play. There are guys that play 6 minutes a night,
Mhm.
guys that only play at the end of the game. So if he's that guy, I don't know, is he really hurting somebody else's career? That's probably going to be a career G League guy that he's only going to play if the
Mhm.
game's out of reach and there's a ton of injuries. That doesn't happen
I'm not
very
worried
often.
about that guy that he's taking over for. I worry about the atmosphere in the locker room.
Well, but if he doesn't play, like last night, he played
Mhm.
like in the middle of the game. That's I.
Well,
I
you know what I'm
are they
saying?
going to care? Like, would you care as much if he was a guy that didn't play? If he was a guy that was, listen, we know it. There's guys on the Buccaneers that suited up as offensive linemen. Of course, you got to be ready, right? But for the most part, the offensive line for the Buccaneers was healthy this year.
Mhm.
If you have a guy that's the swing tackle, the second swing tackle, and he doesn't play, and it's somebody's son, I don't think people are freaking out. If he's starting and playing and contributing to you losing by 14 points to a team that's 17 and 27, going, I think that is that wrong?
No, listen, we're talking about this because of his last name,
Right.
and that's it, or else it's an irrelevant thing. But I think he also got drafted because of his last name. I think he
100%.
also gets NEPT because of his last name. I think that he's on ESPN because of his last name. And when it's all said and done, he's going to get way more PT than he deserves. He's going to get way more screen time than he deserves. And I don't know if I dislike that because that happens all the time, and it happens with hierarchies all the time. But it is going to affect your team eventually. I don't know what he's bringing. I don't know what he's bringing. And when LeBron, as a leader, LeBron's got to want what's best for the team. And when you keep on
Does
bringing,
he? Does he?
you're supposed to.
He doesn't have to.
You're supposed to. Once again,
What you're supposed
I've always,
to do and what
I-
you do is totally different thing. The way that LeBron operates on the basketball court, the way that he's very unselfish and he's very deferential, I don't think you can fault him for that.
Mhm.
But the way he's constructed rosters over the years, the way he's jumped from team to team, the way he takes up as much money as he does in the salary cap, I wouldn't say that the way that he acts on the court is the way that he acts off the court. You want to wonder why every single year they're shopping in the base. You're 40 something years old. You have all the money in the world. Like, if you really want to win, let them go spend $40 million on somebody else and take 10. What do you need money for? You're a billionaire.
I agree with
And
you.
you just want your stature to be defined by how much money. We got to get to this real quick before we wrap things up. I showed you this before the show. I almost forgot about it. Ben Solak, who works for ESPN, posted a video the other day after Josh Allen on that 4th down should have thrown the pass to Khalil Shakir going out the left side, but we know he had a ton of pressure in his face. His tweet was, "Here's why I think Josh Allen should have thrown the swing to Khalil Shakir. I think the zone/man pre-snap tells got him off Shakir early, but that's still your best option. He still makes a good throw to Kincaid. That should have been caught. No idea why Josh didn't show here." After the fact, he gets taken to task by former Chiefs left tackle Mitchell Schwartz, saying the hot answer on 4th and 5th when there's 2 free rushers instantly isn't the throw to a guy 10 yards behind the line of scrimmage. And then Ryan Fitzpatrick napalmed his ass when he comes out and says, and you enjoyed this one, I really like your passion and knowledge for the game, but sitting in your comfortable swivel chair with the heater on in the house and a clicker in hand makes the game very easy. Having 2 unblocked, unimpeded defenders, believe it or not, is pretty difficult to navigate. In the interest of credibility, please don't ever pause the tape again to show about the space between the unblocked full-speed rushers and how the QB just needs to turn his hips and make a throw. And you've been saying this for a very long time. It's a lot easier for somebody that's never played the game and never been in that situation to start barking at somebody and pointing and saying, this is what you should have done.
It sounds like somebody who's never played the position, okay? Because playing a position of quarterback is way more complex than that guy just made it, right? We don't know the progression. So if your progression is running back, tight end, then X, okay, and they have 2 guys in your face and the running back's covered and the X and the tight end's covered, you think you have enough time to get over here? So we don't know what the progression is. So it's not Madden. And even if you're playing Madden, and I like to play Madden often, just sit there and watch it go. That guy's wide open. If you look over there, he's not open anymore. Football is so fast that if you see something open, if you see it open, by the time you cock your wrist, it ain't open anymore.
You're throwing guys up.
That's what I'm saying. You got to throw that ball before the guy comes out of his break a lot of times. So once again, I'm with your boy Fitzpatrick. It's real easy from your couch, but when you got 300-pound monsters bearing down on you as well, who was Chris Jones in his face? You ever see Chris Jones? If he walked in this room right now, I'd probably hide under the table. You don't want that coming at you. You think that's an easy throw, throwing over that mongrel?
I think it's important to let everybody know in situations like this, like, you're allowed to have an opinion, right? Doesn't mean that it's right. But if you're a person, and listen, Ben Solak is a very, very smart guy. He does his homework, right? He works for ESPN, covering the most popular sport in the country. You don't get that by being a big prospect, right? But I also want to let everybody know that has never played a professional sport that does talk about sports for a living. It's great to do your research. It's great to have an opinion. Okay, you're entitled to said opinion. But if you get to a point in your sport that you cover that you are being corrected, you are being reprimanded by people that got paid millions of dollars to do it, as the great 20th century philosopher Dwayne Johnson once said, know your role, shut your
and stay in your lane.
Stay in your lane, bro. It's okay.
And before you question somebody, go ask their coach or find out beforehand. Because just to assume things, that ain't the way to do it. Ain't that smart?
No, and again, you're allowed to have your opinion, but if it's in a situation where somebody's, and it happened to me last year. I thought something with the Lightning. I thought I was right. Braden Coburn said, "Hey, that's not right.
Yeah.
Here's why."
Yeah.
And I went on the air the very next day and was like, "Hey, I was wrong. We had this conversation, and it worked out really good." Nobody's going to be right 100% of the time, but at least allow yourself to put your ego to the side. Be like, "Hey, man, you got to defer to people that have been there. You got to defer to people that know this better than you." Like, if you're not learning and if you're not around people that know more than you, you're in the wrong room.
This time I watch football, they'll say, "Oh, the right tackle got beat." And I'm like, well, the right guard was supposed to be there. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's certain, I can see the way things are unfolding. I know what's supposed to happen. And a lot of times the person talking doesn't know. And I'm not knocking them, okay? But you have to stay in your lane, okay? Because I won't comment on wide receiver routes because I don't know them. I won't comment on progressions by quarterbacks. I won't know them. I'll just be general about it. But offensive line play, I'll be pretty darn specific. So it's hard to be specific, especially about quarterback play, when you don't know what the freaking play was.
The other thing that he is a big fan of, purchasing baby oil by the case.
Yes. You do it in the back of Dignitary.
What do you think is there?
So many cases of baby oil.
Cases. All right, that's going to wrap it up for us. Make sure you follow us on all social media platforms at Ian Beckles, at Recher. Every Wednesday, we're going to be locked and loaded right here from the Dictionary Team Kava House, 4817 Southwest Shore Boulevard. Come on by, get some kava, get some kratom. They're 420 friendly here. A lot of great people. Come say hi to Bill
We're 420 friendly.
/ William behind the bar, Hanzo, Chris, the entire crew here. I got to go work for the Lightning after this.
Second hand.
This guy's such a jerk. Oh my God, I gotta go bathe. We'll see you guys next week.
This is cologne.
I actually brought cologne.
Good for you.
If you're looking for the pulse of Tampa Bay sports, Beckles and Recher is the #1 source.
Like, hey, Steve Hurst.
Raising up the bar, intelligent sports talk in your own backyard. Ain't no competition, ask the fans why. Beckles and Recher got it by a landslide. Don't fret, microphone check, stand by. Yo, Fox, where they at? Who my 2 favorite guys?
Here they go.
Here they go.
Here they go.